It was supposed to be just another quiet night. A peaceful family, drifting off to sleep, wrapping up the year with love, laughter, and plans for tomorrow. But by morning, every single one of them was gone. Not missing. Not vanished. Brutally murdered. A 6-year-old. An 8-year-old. A mother. A father. Slaughtered, in their own home. But here's the part that will freeze your blood: the killer stayed. He made himself comfortable. He ate their ice cream. He used their computer. He even took a nap, just feet away from their lifeless bodies. It's been over 2 decades, and no one knows who did it. No face. No name. Just a trail of blood, and a nightmare that never ended. And the most chilling part? Authorities say the killer may have never even left Japan. This is the cold case so disturbing, even seasoned detectives walked away. Stay with me. Because by the end of this story, you might be the one holding the final clue. Before the headlines, before the detectives, there was just a family. The Miyazawas lived a quiet life in Setagaya, Tokyo. Their home sat at the edge of a calm neighborhood, where families were preparing for the new year, hanging lights, exchanging laughter, dreaming of the future. Mikio Miyazawa was a gentle soul. A hard-working father who spent his days at a publishing company connected to a local theater. He believed in the power of storytelling, in bringing people together. Yasuko, his wife, was the kind of woman you remember instantly. A patient, kind-hearted mother and part-time teacher at a nearby school. She loved her children endlessly, and everyone could see it. Their daughter, Nina, only 8 years old, was full of life, curious, bright, always asking questions no one had answers to. And then there was little Ray, 6 years old, quiet, sweet, and facing developmental challenges. But he was deeply loved. Protected. Cherished. A real family. Whole. Innocent. But none of that would matter. Because on December 30th, 2000, that peace was shattered forever. It was a cold winter night. The city buzzed with quiet excitement as the year came to an end. But inside the Miyazawa home, it was warm. Safe. Or so they thought. Somewhere between 11:30 p.m. and 1 a.m., an intruder crept into their world through a small bathroom window. Slipped in unnoticed. A shadow in the dark. What happened next is beyond comprehension. Ray, only 6 years old, was the first. Strangled in his sleep. He never even had a chance to cry for help. Mikio must have heard something. A noise. A breath that didn't belong. He rushed upstairs to protect his family, and was met with unspeakable violence. He fought. Hard. But he was stabbed again and again, until he collapsed in a pool of blood. Yasuko and Nina tried to hide. Maybe they prayed. Maybe they begged. We will never know. But they were found. And they were not spared. In less than an hour, an entire family was annihilated. Not because of who they were. Not because of something they'd done. But because one man, one monster, walked into their home, and chose to take everything. This wasn't just a murder. It was an execution. And it was only the beginning of a mystery that would haunt Japan for decades to come. And yet, despite all this horror, the nightmare was only beginning. You'd think someone capable of this level of brutality would flee. Vanish into the night. try to escape justice. But that's not what happened here. No, the killer didn't run. He stayed. After wiping out an entire family, after strangling a child, after stabbing a father over a dozen times, after hunting down a mother and daughter and hiding, this monster got comfortable. He walked into their kitchen, opened the fridge, took out ice cream, and ate it. Calmly. As if nothing had happened. He used their computer. Browsed the internet. Just casually logged on. He even changed his clothes, left his blood-soaked shirt in the bathroom sink, like it was some college dorm laundry. Then he left something else behind. He used their toilet, and didn't flush. As if his humanity had rotted away completely. Think about that. What kind of person murders a whole family, then lounges in their home like he belongs there? What kind of mind doesn't just kill, but occupies the space of his victims? Eats their food. Sleeps in their bed. Spends hours in the very place he turned into a graveyard. He wasn't in a rush. He had no fear. He stayed for hours. Long enough for the blood to dry. Police later found his DNA everywhere, on clothing, in the sink, on the bandages he used to wrap his own wounds. He cut himself during the attack, and calmly patched himself up. Like this was just part of the routine. And still, after all that? He's never been caught. His DNA was clean. No match in any database. No fingerprints. No face. Just a ghost. The Miyazawa home, once filled with laughter and bedtime stories, was now a silent tomb. And somewhere in that silence, he slept. Curled up on their couch. As if the family he butchered never existed. Can you imagine that kind of evil? This wasn't just murder. This was psychological warfare. And the scariest part? This man is still out there. This story only gets darker. Don't miss what comes next. Subscribe now, and stay with us. When investigators stepped into the Miyazawa home, they weren't just walking into a crime scene. They were stepping into a nightmare, one the killer had left open like a festering wound. And so began one of the largest manhunts in Japanese history. Over 250,000 investigators have worked this case. Hundreds of thousands of hours. And what they found should have led them straight to the killer. He wasn't careful. He didn't wipe away his presence. No, he left it. Everywhere. Fingerprints smeared across walls and surfaces. Blood found not just in the victim's rooms, but in the bathroom sink, on tissues, on the stairwell railing. A knife, purchased just days before the murders, from a local shopping center. Traced. Tracked. Confirmed. His clothes? Also bought locally, at a Japanese mall. They still had the tags. And then, the sand. Inside the killer's bag was sand. Not just from Japan. But from California, and a nearby Tokyo skate park. How? Why? Was he American? A military brat? A tourist who stayed too long? Or just a drifter who knew how to blend in? This man wasn't a ghost. He bled. He shopped. He walked the streets. He used public bathrooms. He surfed the internet on a family's computer. He was real. And yet, he simply vanished. No CCTV footage. No matching fingerprints. No DNA matches anywhere in Japan or abroad. It's as if, the second he stepped out of that house, he ceased to exist. How does someone leave that much evidence, and still escape the grip of the law? How can you bleed on the crime scene, eat their food, sleep on their couch, and never be found? Is it incompetence, or something darker? Did someone protect him? Or was he just one step ahead of everyone from the beginning? Imagine being the investigators, sitting with this case, year after year, knowing the killer left a breadcrumb trail, and yet somehow, you're always 2 steps behind. Would you keep going? Or would you walk away, too? The deeper you go into this case, the more it begins to feel like a riddle built to break you. We're just getting started. Subscribe now, because what comes next only gets stranger. By now, you're probably asking the same question everyone did. Who could possibly do this? And why didn't anyone see him coming? Early theories were scattered. Some investigators believed the killer might have been Korean, because of traces of sand found in his belongings, and clothing sizes common outside Japan. Others pointed toward someone linked to the U.S. military bases. The skate park sand? It matched Southern California. A rare brand of cologne found in the home? Only sold in limited Western outlets. Was it a foreigner, hiding in plain sight? Or someone who wanted it to look that way? Then came a darker theory, maybe it wasn't someone from far away at all, but someone deeply disturbed. A mentally unwell local. Perhaps even homeless. Just a man, wandering, broken, until one night, he snapped. But there's one problem with every theory. None of them stick. No suspects. No arrests. No motive. And every time someone gets close, every time a lead flickers to life, it goes dark just as fast. Time moved on. The calendar pages turned. And the case, once burning hot, began to turn cold. Detectives retired. Some passed away. Others walked away, haunted by what they couldn't solve. Leads dried up. Witnesses stopped talking. And the case faded into whispers. And that's what makes this so painful, not just the horror of what happened, but the silence that followed. How do you find a monster who left everything behind, except his name? How do you catch someone who was never meant to be remembered? If the person who did this is still out there, what do they see when they look in the mirror? And if they're watching this video right now, what would you say to them? If this case haunts you the way it haunts us, hit that subscribe button. We're not done yet. The Miyazawas were buried together, as they lived. Side by side. A father. A mother. 2 children. Lost forever to something too evil for words. Their home remained untouched for years, silent, frozen in time. It wasn't just a crime scene, it became a monument to everything that went wrong. Neighbors avoided the street. Children crossed to the other side. No one wanted to look at that house. Because looking at it meant confronting a nightmare, one no one could explain. Eventually, the building was torn down. Demolished. Cleared. But the ground still remembers. And maybe that's the worst part. This isn't just unsolved. It's unfinished. It's a stain on justice itself. The killer left his blood. His fingerprints. His clothing. His waist. He left everything, except his name. And somehow, he got away with it. This case didn't just break a family. It broke investigators. Some left the force. Others retired early. One said he couldn't sleep anymore. That the killer followed him into his dreams. How do you keep hunting someone who walks invisible? So let's remember their names again: Mikio, Yasuko, Nina, Ray. Faces full of life, stolen in the dark. A family destroyed. A community silenced. A killer out there, somewhere. And maybe, just maybe, you've seen him. If you know anything at all, this family deserves peace. 20 years is long enough. Someone out there knows something. Maybe it's time to speak up. Because silence only protects the monster. If this story moved you, subscribe, share this video, and keep their memory alive. We tell these stories because they still matter.